All right, Johnny's right here, live and direct from the State of Cannabis at the Loft in Long Beach, California. And I am with one of the best festival producers in the world, as we say, Can-amazing. He is Mr. Tim Blake, the founder and producer of the Emerald Cup, coming up next month in December, you guys. Tim, thank you for being a part of Cannabis Talk Show Live.
Oh, it's a pleasure to be here with you. You're a wonderful soul. State of Cannabis is cool. You know Creek. You know all the cool people. You know,
Swami.
Yeah, you love the outdoor, Swami.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So Tim, tell us about the journey of you producing Emerald Cup, and what brought you to that brainy idea to develop this Can-amazing festival.
You know, I've been in the business since I was 15 years old, 47 years. I started dealing when I was a kid in Santa Cruz. I've seen every decade. I watched indoor come in. I watched the big loads come in with the Thai and Mexican. I watched the 80s, the 90s, and I got up to Mendocino, and we just were sitting around and realizing that we weren't getting able to celebrate that fall harvest like everybody else. Like you go to the county fairs and you get to smell all the wonderful, fruits and vegetables and the animals and just all the energy and the friendly competition. So we just did it. We just decided to go for it, disguised it as a birthday party 16 years ago. Back then it was like, it was a whole other world. Most people thought we'd get busted. We didn't. We pulled it off, and it just grew into something that I would have never even imagined from then, from that point.
And not to mention the revenue that you help generate for Sonoma County and that whole area. Talk to us a little bit about that and your relationships with Sonoma County and the fairgrounds.
Well, I didn't want to go down to Sonoma County at first. We wanted to keep the Emerald Cup in the Triangle, but we couldn't keep it at my place. It was too big. The County of Mendocino and the Fairgrounds Board wouldn't let us in. They wouldn't let us into Humboldt. We really had no choice. My friends said, take a flyer on Sonoma County. We made a 22-page proposal. They said, if you'll do this, which is kind of a well-run cannabis country fair, we'll front you. And I've realized since then, Sonoma County's taken over the microbreweries, the bicycle racing, the vineyards. They're very progressive, forward-thinking people, and so we got the opportunity to do that, and we did. The first year, I thought a lot of people were like, "You've kind of, it's blasphemous, it's sacrilegious. You've left the Emerald Triangle," but the farmers came down. They got to get direct interaction with all the consumers and all the attendees. They did a lot of sales. They realized how good of an opportunity this was. And the second year, all the farmers came down because they realized. And I said, look, we're just going to expand the boot at the Emerald Triangle and make a boot on it. And we did. We just kind of included Sonoma, in my own mind anyway. And people were okay with it. And it's become just a whole different world now down there.
Nice. Can-amazing, as we say. And tell us about the entries of this well-groomed, produced festival. Is it strictly sun-grown cannabis, or are indoor cannabis producers also included in the festival and the judging?
It's all outdoor. It's been that way since we started. It's organic outdoor flowers. It was only contest. We started, and then we had the concentrates. We brought the medicinals in. There's 28 contests now. Every category you could imagine. Judges from all over the place. It's just it's hard to even imagine wrangling in all that material, getting it to the judges, getting it all done right. But it's a wonderful set of contests. I think we have the highest integrity possible. A little bit earlier, you were talking about the economic impact. We did an economic impact report for the Cup last year, $17.5 million, $17.4 million.
Wow.
The Grand Prix here in Long Beach only brought in $21 million, so we're hoping to top that this year because we had some rain and some challenges with legalization. So we're thinking we'll come in well over $20 million, which is a tremendous amount of economic benefit for Sonoma County. It bodes well for all the events all over the state and country. It's time to normalize cannabis, bring it into everyday mainstream, and not turn it into the back alleys. That's why I liked about Lowell's Cannabis Cafe. It wasn't on some back alley thing. They weren't hiding it. It was front and center, and it really felt natural. So I'm really looking forward to that being part of every community and society across this country and the world. So
yes.
It's happening.
Can-amazing. We just actually we highlighted the Lowell's Cafe just a few weeks ago and did a review on the cafe, the food, the cannabis products, which was A+, but not very much or not any sun-grown cannabis on the menu, which I wrote about in my review. How can we change that? Because I wanted to reach out to Swami and Nikki and say, hey, we got to get Swami Select down at the Lowell's Cafe.
I was not aware of that. I did meet Andrea, the head chef, who's a wonderful lady. Red, who's the buyer there. I'll have to talk to Red about that. He's a very dedicated, passionate guy. Sean, the founder. I thought that they were bringing some of their stuff from their farms in Santa Barbara, but that's not outdoor, huh?
Greenhouse. Greenhouse is not sun-grown.
You know, it's really hard. I'm a purist. I do feel full sun-grown, but I do light depots now. There's a lot of people doing it, mixed light. It's a challenging thing because that's where a lot of it's going, and I think there's a place for all of it, but I do think that greenhouse is still outdoor. I mean, it's not indoor.
That's true.
It's not indoor.
True.
It's using natural light. It's using natural light. It may not hold the bar with pure sun, but you know, we have all the light depot contests now. We've got to acknowledge that too. You know, as we evolve, we have to realize that we have to be inclusive and bring these things in. I think that what we need to do is just sun grown under the greenhouses is going to replace all the indoor. I think we just need to move all the true indoor, which isn't really needed. I mean, there's not another agricultural crop that's grown inside, you know, in buildings.
Wow, really? Well, thank you for the education on that. For me, why would you want to eliminate the indoor? Because I know it's very profitable, the turnaround as far as the yields and also controlling the environment, which I'm guessing you can also do with the greenhouses. Is that correct?
I think what you're going to see is with Santa Barbara, there's two companies in Santa Barbara growing as much as all of Mendocino. And you're watching the prices come down. It's obviously all depots and greenhouses, but they're bringing down fire OGs and they're selling them down here for $1,200. And it's going to be very difficult for anyone to compete with that. And likewise with the indoor, it's going to be very hard when these price points come down more and more, and you're getting all this really amazing greenhouse OG for $1,000. How's the indoor going to compete with that?
Wow.
So I mean, I think it really is going to become a cost factor where, there will always be a niche for. We're not going to get rid of all the indoor. In fact, there's many appropriate places throughout the country. But I think that indoor is going to become more and more of a niche market, just like our small craft farmers with pure sun-grown are going to become a niche market too. They'll do well, but they're going to have a hard time competing with that, you know, light depot A-grade OG and all the fire and stuff they're going to bring from Santa Barbara and all these farming communities around the state.
Yeah, Santa Barbara County, Carpenter area, it is actually known as the Little Humboldt now. It's very much known as the New Humboldt of Southern California.
It's not even the Little Humboldt. I mean, they grow as much as we do or more.
Wow.
So, I mean, when you hear the numbers that they're bringing out, it's like, well, look, every acre, when you look at the old school people growing on 1 to 3, 5,000 square feet, and an acre is 40,000 square feet, every acre is 10 farmers. So when you get 500 acres, then all of a sudden you're talking about 5,000 farmers you're replacing.
Wow.
Well, that's half of Mendocino.
Whoa, can amazing.
Yeah, half of
Can
Humboldt.
amazing.
So when you have 2 farms that are 1,000 acres, that's all of Humboldt or all of Mendocino.
Wow.
So and it's coming on more and more than that. We're going to have 10,000s of acres going.
Wow. How has the fire season affected the grows for this year's festival?
It could have been a disaster. It wasn't nearly as bad as we thought. They burned a lot of acreage, 70,000 plus acres, a lot of vineyards. They did hit some cannabis farms, but they didn't really hit the triangle much. And I think that other than some of the smaller farms down south, and they did actually hurt some farms, but not going to hurt the Emerald Triangle. That was down in Sonoma.
Wow, that's can amazing.
It could have, though. It was close.
Wow. Okay, Tim, tell us a little bit more. What would you like to close on this can amazing interview with the founder of the Emerald Cup, Mr. Tim Blake?
It's people like yourself. It's all the journalists and educators. It's all about educating people, bringing this normalization to cannabis. And it's taken people like you that put their lives and their passion into Brian Applegarth with the Tourism Association that are bootstrapping all these things that don't get paid. It's all their love and their passion that's gone out there, and it's that advocacy, that education, that passion is touching people, and it's really bringing that normalization in there. And I really wish we could just find a way to support journalists like yourselves and people like Brian Applegarth and people like Susan Soares, people that I see do a lot of work, and they don't get a lot of financial reward for it. They get the knowledge that what they've done has really had an impact and a positive effect on all of it. But it goes down to my hats off to people like you, Susan Soares, Brian Applegarth, all the people I see that spend so much time and energy really bringing about that true normalization of cannabis into mainstream society. That's what we need.
That's Can-amazing, and it is very gratifying for myself and for the Susan Soares and everyone that supports the cannabis industry to continue to bring the information, great conferences, and as you are doing, Can-amazing festivals about this amazing Can-amazing industry. That's a $1 trillion industry to be.
It is, but it's like when the rest of journalism, you see all the newspapers closing, the radio's having a hard time, the information getting out there, and we should find a way to really support not just small farmers and small product makers, but small journalists, small educators, small heads of the tourism industry like Brian Applegarth, or small event producers like Susan. It's about really making sure that they don't go away, because they're the ones that really bring the objective truth and reality to people to see. So it's not just all indoor. People see how valuable sun-grown is. They see how valuable the knowledge is to get out to people, so that we can have women and children and older people feeling comfortable to use cannabis freely. And even though Lowell's has got to come in and maybe step up and bring more of that outdoor in there, that sun-grown, it was an amazing thing to see people feeling comfortable in a restaurant, cafe, being able to partake.
Absolutely. I totally agree. And maybe with some of those high tax dollars that has been placed on the cannabis industry, maybe they'll take a small portion and divvy it out, just a portion of it, to some of the media production companies. Ha!
Yeah, I'm hot with you. Ha! We'll see. I think what you're going to see is just like we do at the Emerald Cup. You're going to see people like us, that like I do. I go to support Susan, support people like you, get people in, get them media passes, get all I can to help them, get them free bud, always give back, because that's how it is. You got to take care of the community.
Yes, and you have definitely done that, sir. Tim, thank you for being a part of Cannabis Talk Show Live. I appreciate your time and your energy. You're amazing. Can-amazing.
It's a pleasure. So are you. Beautiful.
All right. Cannabis Talk Show Live and direct from the State of Cannabis, from the Loft in Long Beach. We're out.
That's cool, son.